County Communications. This is Stacy.
Hi, Stacey. My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport, and she's pregnant. And I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning. She won't answer the door. She won't answer phone calls. She won't answer text messages.
What's her name?
Shanann Watts.
Most channels hide the real details. I don't. My name is Troy, and I am here to get the full story, every fact that actually matters. But YouTube won't show you the next case unless you're subscribed. If you don't hit that button now, this is the last video of mine you'll see. And the next case is even crazier than this one. So hit subscribe, then drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's continue.
A beautiful home in a quiet Colorado neighborhood. A young mom, glowing with excitement, posting videos of her 2 little girls laughing and playing. Her husband, right there beside them, looking like the perfect dad. Strong, quiet, devoted. They're expecting a baby boy soon. Life looks perfect. But on the morning of August 13th, 2018, everything changed. Shanann Watts, 34 years old, was 15 weeks pregnant, came home late from a business trip. Her 2 daughters, Bella, just 4, with her big curious eyes, and Celeste, 3, full of giggles, were asleep in their beds. By the next day, all 3 were gone. Vanished. No trace. No note. Nothing. Their husband and father, Chris Watts, stood on the porch of that same house, staring into news cameras with tears in his eyes. Shanann, Bella, Cece, if you're out there, just come back. If somebody has her, just bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. His voice cracked. He looked broken, desperate. What happened in that house that night? How does a family like this just disappear? And why did Chris's words feel so hollow to some who were watching? Stick with me, because this story isn't what it seems. It's darker than you can imagine. And by the end, you'll understand how a man who looked like he had it all destroyed everything. To understand what led to that heartbreaking plea, we have to go back. Back to how Chris and Shanann met. Shanann King was born in New Jersey in 1984. She was vibrant, outgoing, a fighter. As a child, she battled lupus, an autoimmune disease that could have slowed her down, but it didn't. She pushed through, building a life full of energy and ambition. Chris Watts grew up in North Carolina. Born in 1985, he was quieter, more reserved. Good-looking, athletic, the kind of guy who blended in. They met in 2010 through mutual friends in North Carolina. Shanann was divorced from her first marriage. Chris was single. Sparks flew quickly. They married in 2012. It was a fresh start. Shanann dreamed big. She wanted a family, stability, success. Chris seemed steady, reliable. In 2013, their first daughter, Bella Marie, arrived. Then, in 2015, Celeste, nicknamed Cece. The girls were everything to Shanann. She shared their lives openly on social media, videos of Bella singing, Cece dancing, family trips to the beach. The Watts moved to Colorado in 2013 for Chris's job at Anadarko Petroleum, an oil company. They bought a beautiful 5-bedroom house in Frederick, a growing suburb north of Denver. From the outside, it was the American dream. Shanann posted constantly, "Living my best life with my loves." Photos of Chris grilling in the backyard, holding the girls. But beneath the filtered photos, things weren't always perfect. Shanann had started working with a multi-level marketing company called Unravel, promoting Thrive patches, supplements for energy and health. She poured her heart into it, hosting live videos from her kitchen, sharing her story of overcoming lupus. It brought in money, but it was demanding. Long hours, trips away. Chris worked long shifts at the oil fields. He was a hands-on operator, loading trucks, monitoring tanks. Quiet job, physical work. He seemed content. But slowly, cracks started showing. Financial stress. The big house, 2 kids, medical bills from the past. Shanann mentioned it in some private messages to friends. Money was tight. Still, in the summer of 2018, they announced baby number 3, a boy they named Nico. Shanann was thrilled. She posted ultrasound photos, gender reveal videos with pink and blue balloons turning blue. Chris smiled in those videos too. He posted occasionally, proud dad stuff. But friends later said he seemed distant, quieter than usual. What no one knew, what Shanann didn't even fully realize, was that Chris was changing, deeply. Let's talk about that summer, June 2018. Chris started working out more, a lot more. He got leaner, fitter. Shanann noticed and loved it. She posted about her hot husband. But there was something else. At work, Chris met a co-worker named Nicole Kessinger. She was new to the area, smart, independent. They started talking. Innocent at first, work stuff, then texts, then more. By July, it was an affair, full-blown. Chris told Nicole he was separated, that things with Shanann were over. He wanted a fresh start. Nicole believed him. They spent time together, dates, nights out. Chris felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. Free. Meanwhile, Shanann was away a lot that summer. A 6-week trip to North Carolina to visit family with the girls. Chris stayed in Colorado for work. During those weeks, he saw Nicole almost every day. No kids, no wife. Just him. Shanann sensed something was off. Texts from that time show it. She messaged Chris, "I miss you. Why do you seem so cold?" He responded with hearts, "I love you." But it felt different to her. When she and the girls returned in early August, the tension was thick. Then, Shanann went on one last business trip to Arizona. She left the girls with Chris. While she was gone, Chris spent time with Nicole again. One last weekend of freedom. Shanann flew home late on August 12th, arriving around 2 a.m. on the 13th. Her friend Nicole Atkinson dropped her off. Shanann texted Nicole, "Thanks for the ride." She was tired, emotional from the trip. She had confronted Chris over the phone about their marriage. Things were rocky. She wanted to talk, fix it. Chris was awake when she got home, waiting. What happened next, in those early morning hours, would change everything. But Chris wouldn't tell the truth about it. Not at first. August 13th started like any other day. For Chris, at least. He left for work early, around 5:30 a.m. Shanann missed a doctor's appointment that morning, for the baby. Unusual for her. She was always on top of things. Then, no texts, no social media posts, nothing. Her friend Nicole Atkinson got worried. Shanann wasn't answering calls. Nicole went to the house around noon. Knocked, no answer. Shanann's car was in the garage. Shoes by the door, purse upstairs. But no one home. The girl's car seat still in the car. Nicole called Chris. He said he'd come home. Then she called the police. When Chris arrived, he seemed calm. Too calm. He let police in for a welfare check. Everything looked normal. Beds made, no signs of struggle. But Shanann's phone was there. Police noticed. They asked him to come in for questioning. He agreed. Meanwhile, the search exploded. National news, Amber Alert. Volunteers combing fields, drones, everyone praying for a miracle. Chris kept talking to media. "I just want them back." But his story had holes. He said Shanann came home, they went to bed, he left for work. No argument. Nothing unusual. But texts told a different story. Shanann had been upset. Friends said she feared the marriage was ending. On August 14th, Chris took the polygraph. He failed, miserably. Questions about harming his family, he lied. Then, with his dad flown in for support, Chris broke. He confessed part of it. He told police Shanann had killed the girls, strangled them after he told her he wanted a divorce. He snapped and killed her in rage. That's why they were gone. Police didn't buy it fully. No evidence Shanann hurt the kids. But it was something. They searched the oil site where Chris worked. Remote tanks. On August 15th, they found Shanann buried in a shallow grave. Then, the girls, inside crude oil tanks, submerged. Chris was arrested that day, charged with murder. But even then, the full truth wasn't out. Chris's story, that Shanann killed the girls, was a lie. The real events of that night were far worse. In November 2018, to avoid the death penalty, Chris pleaded guilty to all charges. 5 counts of first-degree murder, including unborn child, unlawful termination of pregnancy, tampering with bodies. He was sentenced to life, no parole. But questions lingered. Why? What really happened? In February 2019, from prison in Wisconsin, Chris sat down with investigators one last time. With his family nearby for emotional support, he told the full story, the real one. It started that night, August 13th, early hours. Shanann came to bed after her flight. They talked. Chris told her he wanted a divorce. He said he didn't love her anymore. Shanann was devastated, emotional. She said something that hit him hard, about him never seeing the kids again. Chris said he snapped. Rage. He straddled her, strangled her. It took minutes. She fought, scratched. Then, gone. Bella walked in, saw Mommy on the floor. "What's wrong with Mommy? Is she okay?" Chris told her Mommy was sick, not feeling well. He wrapped Shanann's body in a sheet, dragged it downstairs, loaded it into his work truck. The girls were still alive. He put them in the truck too. On the floor, no car seats. Drove 45 minutes to the oil site. There, remote and isolated, he carried Shanann to a shallow grave. Buried her, then the girls. Celeste first. He used a blanket, smothered her. She didn't fight much. Bella watched, then her turn. She pleaded, "Daddy, no!" Those words. Chris said he hears them every day. He put their little bodies into separate oil tanks, 8-inch openings, dropped them in, then went to work. Like nothing happened. Wanting a new life with Nickel. No kids, no responsibilities. Nickel ended contact when the truth came out. She cooperated fully with police. Chris claimed rage, loss of control. But the planning, the disposal, showed calculation. The aftermath was heartbreaking. Shanann's family, her parents, brother, devastated. They forgave Chris in court for closure. But the pain, endless. The house sold. The community mourned. Documentaries, books, endless coverage. Chris sits in prison, writing letters sometimes. Reflecting? Who knows? Thank you for staying with me through this story. It's heavy, but important. If it moved you, subscribe for more true stories told this way. Comment below. What part hit you hardest?